So Leon, congratulations on scoring a 730 on the GMAT, and welcome to the debriefing session. 160-point improvement. Yeah, 570 to 730. How does it feel?
It feels amazing. It feels unreal to be here on the other side talking to you. It's been it's been quite a ride, quite an intense ride, but it's really rewarding to be here, honestly.
So I mean, you say it's been quite an intense ride, but it's not been that long. It's been what, 3 months is what I can really see, give or take.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been long, but it has definitely been intense during this time. It was 100% devotion to it.
Okay, and you have a tough job. I mean, you work decent hours, and and so achieving this along with working is must have been tough. So let's talk about your GMAT preparation. So 570, you took, I think the mock in sometime in March, April timeframe. You had a decent verbal score, really low quant score. You had I think a Q35 or so. So how did you approach your GMAT preparation after that?
Yeah. So honestly, since I was a kid, I always had kind of like a facility to, when dealing with languages.
Mhm.
So I honestly, from the beginning, I thought the verbal would be my strongest, even though I'm a mechanical engineering.
Mm.
Um, I thought that verbal would be my strong, and my first mock with e-GMAT showed that it was not that low on verbal, but it was really low on quant. What I noticed is that the thing it was not that I didn't know the concepts. I had to learn an approach, and that's exactly what e-GMAT taught me. So actually, when I started with the GMAT, I didn't start with e-GMAT. I started with a local course here in Brazil.
Okay.
But yeah, so it was a month before, only a month before, so in the beginning of January. And I took a mock, an official mock before e-GMAT, but I have to be 100% honest with you. I didn't actually mimic the real test conditions. So I paused it whenever I had to do something else. And my score was 660 and was 100% misleading. I got the 660 and I said, you know what? I'm not that far. But when I actually sat down and dove into it and took my diagnostic test with e-GMAT, and I got that 570, and I got the Q36, if I'm not mistaken,
Mhm.
that was a reality shock. I was like, okay, I need to find an actual structured approach, and I've seen all of the reviews, and I knew that I bought the right course for it. So I started following actually the study plan from e-GMAT.
Mhm.
Um, but I noticed that so I'm not the kind of guy that likes to study everything on on one side of it, so everything in quant and then everything in verbal. So I kind of mix it up. So I did one um, subsection in quant, one subsection in verbal, one in quant and one in verbal, and started with was my weakest in verbal, which was sentence correction, and it was by far the most helpful and the most amazing part of e-GMAT. Um,
So
yeah,
let's kind
that's where I
of be a
got my.
bit more specific to it. So you started. So what were you studying along with sentence correction in quant? So on the quant side of things.
If I'm not mistaken, I think I started with numbers properties
Number
in
properties.
quant. Yeah, which was my weakest part in quant, because it's just not a way you're used to think. You know, especially when you're a mechanical engineer, you are used to put stuff in equations and solve the equations, and that's it. You're not actually used to looking at the number properties and working it the way GMAT wants you to.
So
But
you'd taken this other course, which was for a month, I understand, but we'd taken this course.
mhm.
So presumably you'd studied some of number properties. You'd studied some sentence correction as well over there. So how was studying from e-GMAT different than studying from this other course?
It was completely different. So this other course that I got, it was not bad. It was a good course, but it was mainly focused in practice, and I was not in a practice moment. I wasn't in the learning part, as e-GMAT says. I still had to learn the concepts that e-GMAT would test the way it would test it. So
Okay.
So that was the game changer with e-GMAT. I had so much that I had to learn in sentence correction. For example, you have an amazing modifiers module. For example, that was amazing to actually understand what the modifier is and how the placement of the modifier play how it plays a role in the rest of the sentence. And I didn't have that. I just had my ear. That's all I
Got it.
had.
Yes. I think that's something which makes a lot of. I think the thing which is there is the things that you say you've been a linguistic. I mean, you've loved languages. You've lived in
Yeah,
England. You've lived in the States for 1 year each. So you kind of had exposure to, or you've had a lot of exposure to native speakers as well as just working and studying in English. So we kind of know this sounds right, this doesn't. But once you have a formal framework along with this, I think that ability to make those decisions becomes it just takes it to that other level to really say, okay, this is why things are the way they are. I know this is what it is, but I, once I know the why, I can make much better decisions.
absolutely, absolutely. I agree 100%.
So I think that part, yes. So now I looked at your attempts. You were very diligent during the course. I look at your sentence correction, practice files, and application file scores, and you were, I mean, right up there. 91% in concept quizzes, 85% in practice quizzes. I'm actually looking at it right now. So how did you make use of the feedback that you got? I mean, you had about 80 plus feedback points in sentence correction. So did you
I had
revise
like
the ideas?
Yeah, so I have like three whole notebooks of notes that I took while taking the course. So I wrote everything, absolutely everything that I was not sure down, and I had it with me all day. So even when I was working, sometimes I had to I don't know, get up, drink a cup of coffee, drink a glass of water. I would take it with me, and I would read it for 10 minutes.
Got it.
It was just very diligent work on everything that EGMAT had on everything that I wrote down, and I would review it every night before I start a new subject. That's how I approached it for both verbal and quant.
So how would you decide what note to make? I mean, which part? Because you can't really, if you make everything, then it's not useful. But if you make too few, but it's not as useful either. So what was your litmus test?
So first, so all of the application files in EGMAT, I think that those were the key parts because it showed how to actually apply the theory on every example. So I would write the example down, and I would write different colors for different parts of the structure of the sentence. So I would write the modifier in one color. I would emphasize the comma pair, for example,
Hmm.
and I would have observations on each. For example, so this ing modifier, it's in the beginning of the sentence, so I would draw an arrow to which word it refers to,
Wow.
and yes, that's what I would do.
So I mean
And
that's
work.
incredible. Okay.
Mhm. And so it worked. And I would do, for example, of course, in reading comprehension, I wouldn't write the whole thing down, but I would write parts of the passage that I thought were key of it, or key parts of it,
Hmm.
um, and always write my own summary of the passage. In just like GMAT told me, e-GMAT told me, it's in one sentence, trying to summarize it all, and always look for it in the options. And if I didn't find it in the options, I'd rewrite it. I'd read it again to try and find the closest thing to my own wording on the
On the
on the
options.
options.
So
Yeah.
when you did all of this, did this not, I mean, worry you with regards to timing?
I'm sorry.
So when you did all of this, did this not
hmm
bother you that it's going to take a lot longer to answer questions?
Not really, because so those were not just to answer questions. I focused in the beginning on actually learning, and
Hmm.
I trusted what eGMAT told me that the timing would come if I practice, if I learned
Hmm.
enough and I practiced enough, that the timing would come, and it did. So I started doing all those things to actually get to know things better, to really let it sink in. And after, so I only actually started preparing with time after I finished the whole e-GMAT course. After I finished it all, and then I practiced only with time. And in the beginning, timing was a problem, but only in the very beginning, like in the first week, and then it got natural.
Okay. How much of a problem was timing in that first week, just so that I can understand?
So in the first week, I would say, for example, if I took 36 verbal questions, for example, I would say like 5 to 10 minutes more
Got it. So
than
overall on the
than
36 questions, so that's
yeah,
about,
overall.
oh, so
Yeah.
that's like 15 seconds more per question on an average.
On an average, you'd say, yeah. But so sentence correction, for example, was not one that took a lot of time,
Hmm.
but the really time consumer one was reading comprehension in the
Got it.
beginning. So it took longer to read, took longer to interpret.
Hmm.
But one thing that e-GMAT has that helped me a lot was in both CR and RC was listing the types of wrong alternatives. So out of scope, partial scope, that was really helpful because I would add a little mark in my notebook. For example, OS, that's out of scope,
Hmm.
or PS, so on, and that really helped identifying the types of wrong alternatives.
Well, this is really good to hear, by the way. It's
Yeah.
music to our ears when people use the terminology that we have in the course, so or opposite or other things. So let's kind of, so we talked a bit about verbal, not talked a whole lot, but I think let's kind of move to quant over here. So
Sure.
how did your approach in quant change?
Okay, so my approach in quant in the beginning was really trying to put everything that I could in an equation because that's how I felt safe, felt comfortable. But for example, I'll give an example again. The tree structure module was really useful because it showed me that I don't have to make equations at all if I don't have to. Um, and I developed my own way of writing stuff down. And the thing was, after I started practicing, is it's all about just getting to know the types of questions. And once e-GMAT tells you how to apply each concept to each type of question, even if you didn't come across that type, and I don't know, for example, how to start, I just write down what I know. I write down the concept, and stuff just comes to you.
Got it.
And
Okay.
that, I think quant was the biggest improvement by far, by far.
Yeah, I mean Q36 to Q49 is a really good improvement. Um,
Yeah, and I got like two official mock tests that I scored Q50. So that's a huge improvement.
that's a huge improvement. So you used, actually, I looked at your Scholarinium attempt, and you did the course really, really well. And then when I go to Scholarinium, you have some really good stats over there, but you don't need to attempt that many questions. I mean, Scholarinium is still 70% of it is still available, right?
Yeah,
So you felt you didn't
yeah,
need to just because you'd done so much during the course.
yeah. So it's not that I didn't need to. Scholarinium's great, especially for verbal. Scholarinium's great.
Mm.
Um, but actually, so when I finished the course and I didn't have that much time, I had like a month to actually practice.
Mhm.
I decided to focus on the official guide questions.
Got
So
it.
I started practicing on the official guide, everything that I could. And always when I didn't remember, I'd refer to my notes or I'd refer to e-GMAT's course. And I also took the care of, in case I need to do a second attempt and the whole thing is done in OG, then I still have Scholaranium.
Got it. Got it. Now, I see you didn't practice official guide in our platform because we have an OG Scholaranium over there as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
So because you could have looked at solutions, the e-GMAT solutions to those questions over there. Okay. So so
yeah.
so let's talk a bit about. I have this one other question, I think, before, which is probably going to be the last question in the GMAT part of the interview. So how did you
Sure.
get to e-GMAT? I mean, so you had this course which you were taking. What kind of made you decide you needed another course, and then how did you choose e-GMAT?
Right. Okay. So GMAT is not that famous here in Brazil.
Mhm.
It's really only people who want to do an MBA or a master's in uh, abroad, and it's not a huge part of the population here. So GMAT's not that famous. I think here I live in São Paulo, which is the biggest city in Brazil,
Yes.
and I only know about two prep courses here. So I started looking up, and I found this YouTube channel of this girl. It's a language channel actually. It's called Lingua Marina,
Yes. Lingua Marina. That's a
and
very famous channel. I
yeah,
know. Yeah. Russian girl.
yeah, exactly. And well, she scored 700, and through her channel, I found out about GMAT Club.
Got it.
And from GMAT Club, I saw that e-GMAT was the most reviewed and with great reviews, and that's how I decided.
Got it. Okay. Um, that's good to know. So let's talk about now your post GMAT aspiration. So we talked about it earlier. You want to join your family business. Your parents are in residential real estate right now, and you really want to go there in residential as well as both commercial um, overall. So what? And with the 730, I think you're well positioned. So what kind of schools are you aiming for?
Okay, so I took before GMAT, I took the HBX core, which is
Yes.
now HBS Online core, and
Yes.
so that was actually the trigger for me to pursue an MBA. I really liked it, and I really liked the case method. And I have a couple of friends that are studying there in HBS, so I figure I'd try.
Got
But
it.
also, apart from HBS, I've been focusing on um, schools that both have a strong real estate concentration or real estate electives and are positioned in strategic positions for the real estate market. So, for example, LA,
Yes.
Chicago, New York. So, I'm aiming Colombia. I'm aiming for example, Booth,
Booth.
which is in
Yes.
Chicago. Yeah, in LA, for example, UCLA,
UCLA. Yes.
which has a very famous real estate club as well as
Yes.
Columbia.
Yes. Both of them
Yeah,
have real estate concentrations there. Yes.
y- yes, those are some of my top picks.
I would have thought. I mean, I was thinking, even though I'm not as familiar with it, but UCLA and Columbia would be two, just given the real estate markets. I don't know if when the market in the San Jose, San Francisco area is also very interesting, but I think that's kind of just heated up so much. I'm not sure, but LA is still very, very juicy as a market.
hmm
So
Well, I mean, it is a hard market to get in, of course, but that also opens up doors for the asset management side of it,
yes.
which is very heated up there.
Yes. And I think the other piece which is there is just so much maturity. I mean, I know Phoenix is a really good real estate market, or where you can still find some great asset deals where not on the commercial side but on the residential side, a lot of people make money. I've known people over here who kind of own 100 plus houses, and all they
Yes.
do is rent them out, and there's still, I mean, it's still not commercial. They're just people who just own 100 houses. They love owning houses over here, and
Yeah, yeah, the real estate market in the U.S. a lot more traditional than it is here. I don't remember in which magazine that I read that, some financial magazine that showed the comparison between the U.S. Real estate market engagement of the population in between U.S. and Brazil. For example, in the U.S., about 24% of the capacity of the real estate market is fulfilled, while here in Brazil, 0.2%. So we have a lot of room for improvement here, and that market here is very it's very, how can I say, it's very traditional, so there's a lot of room for technologic improvement here,
okay, wow, that's good
which is,
to know.
which is interesting.
Which is very interesting, and I think in the US also there's a lot of so it's a lot of the development is driven both by the government and commercial developers together, and I think
hmm
just there is that there's that level of, I won't say complete transparency, but the pseudo transparency piece, and I have seen the 15 years that I've been in states now, uh, how areas have sprung up, and how it's like planned development, whereas that's when I compare the same things in India, that they're not as planned as and as transparent as they are over here. In fact, to the
Absolutely.
extent that uh, even consumers, they actually buy land just in these areas where with the hope that the land prices will go up because there will be commercial developments that would be planned around the cities.
Hmm.
So
And
which
I
is
think, and I, yeah, and I think it's, I mean, it's an interesting timing
mm,
because, well, the whole commercial real estate industry now, it's gonna have a shift with all this COVID-19 scenario. We see here in Brazil, so our company here
mm,
is in one of the most important cities for financial markets and real estate market in the city,
mm,
and people are starting going full home office. Um, the business towers are getting empty,
yes.
and well, something's going to happen after that.
Yeah, I think it's
Interesting
gonna
timing.
it's gonna be a very, very important shift, and I think this you're very right. Home offices are going to start to become important, and people would want. I mean, one of the big shifts that's going to happen is that people would say, "Hey, we can work efficiently from home," and this is something that I've been shouting for the last 8 years because we started e-GMAT remotely. I mean, and the first 20 employees that we hired, each one of them was hired over Zoom. We've been using Zoom since 2012. So
Absolutely.
we met them for the first time in 2015, which was like a year and a half after we hired them. So
Hmm. Makes
so
sense.
yes, I mean, I think it's gonna be a very interesting shift. Houses are going to be slightly larger. Offices are going to kind of become more of collaboration centers and not everyday work centers uh, overall.
Absolutely.
So yeah. All right. So how can we help?
Yeah, so as I think I mentioned, so I'm very, very happy with my 730. I am working on my applications now, but
Mm,
I do still have some. I've been planning for quite some time, so I do still have some room for improvement, I believe. So I am going to try the GMAT once more
mhm,
before round one to see
mhm.
if I can pump those numbers up just a little bit. And as I mentioned before, so I've exhausted the OG, so now it's coloranium up.
So I frankly would think, given your background, 730 should be good enough, is what I would say. I mean, you always have access to the course, so that part's there. But I mean, seventh, I would. Columbia has an early entry program, does it? Or
It does have. I don't think it's a early entry. I do believe I do know that they do have a January and a September
oh, the
intake,
starting
but the
intake. Okay.
January app, yeah. But the January intake application was last year. But they do
Ah,
have an early round, a binding
that's
early
yes,
round.
binding early
Yeah.
round. So that's something that I mean, I would rather you apply to that
Hmm.
uh, and spend time on doing that. Frankly, after you apply to these schools, so I would then if you still want to improve your GMAT and send your updated scores, that's perfectly fine.
Hmm.
So so
Perfect.
so so that's something that I would say because your scores are good enough considering your background, considering the fact that you're from Brazil, and so you know that's kind of what I would say. Now, would a 750 look better? Absolutely, 750
Absolutely.
would look better, or a 760 would look better. But I mean, given where you are, you're already in July. Let's assume you need about a month, so middle of August, and yeah. So I think I would rather you do that. Get done with the applications first, and then before you get the R1 decisions, improve your
Hmm.
score. Take another shot at
Awesome.
it.
Awesome. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I am actually considering the early decision round
Mhm.
for CVS. I already have talked here with my recommenders. They're all in line
That's
with
good.
me. Yeah, working on the essays on final reviews now.
Who are you working with?
So yeah, so I'm working with a local admissions consulting here. It's called Orbis.
What is it called again?
It's Orbis. O R
ORBIS.
B I B I S. Exactly. It's
Okay.
uh, yeah. So it's a partnership with the first GMAT course that I hired here before e-GMAT. It's called
Okay.
Total Prep. Total Prep.
Okay.
here in São Paulo.
Hmm.
And it's been great so far. I got a lot of insights, a lot of good insights.
That's good.
Yeah, and I'm honestly now I'm pretty anxious now to get it rolling, to get it starting.
That's good.
It feels really close.
I am glad. So it's Orbis. It's not Orbis Investments, right? Orbis Consulting International. Is that what it is?
Orban's. I am not sure the whole name. I know the name of my advisor. It's called Jose Cermeño.
Okay.
But I can email you that
I
if
I
it's
I
easier.
I I would love to. Yes. Yes.
Hmm.
So I would
Definitely.
love to know about it. I mean, I always love to know about good consultants, and that's something that this is something which
Mhm.
uh,
I talked I talked with most of the admissions consulting
mm,
companies from GMAT Club, for example. I talked with MBA Mission, with Admisionado, with
mhm,
all of them. The only
mhm,
problem is that, well, there are high prices now, and
mhm.
the U.S. dollar and the Brazilian
Appreciated.
currency, yeah, the USD is really appreciated now, and it's kind of expensive now. So,
Is this company like an AGAC company? I just want to know.
like a what? Sorry.
There's an
Uh,
association of graduate admissions, association of admissions consultant called AGAC, and
Okay.
and ironically, that association was founded by a Brazilian admission consulting company.
Hey.
Yes.
Wow. No, no, I didn't know about that. So I know that my advisor, he's been working on like 20 years with admissions consulting. He's actually from Venezuela.
Okay.
He's not from Brazil. But I really don't know where it all began. But it's been in the Latin American market, in this part of the market, in the admissions consulting market, for quite some time now.
Got it. Got it. That's good. That's good to know. So definitely do let me know. The names. I would love to know more about them.
Yeah. Oh, and of course, that's important to mention. I also have I got it from a sale from GMAT Club. I also have applicant lab from Maria.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's good. That's really good to know.
Yeah.
How are you liking it?
Oh, it's awesome. It's really good. I really enjoy the do-it-yourself style.
Got it.
Kind of like e-GMAT. I really like
Yes.
the DIY format, because, well, I don't really have a daily routine here. I can work. Sometimes I'm out by 5 p.m. Sometimes I have to be up at 5 a.m. You never know. So it's really good to have that flexibility.
Mm.
And Maria is great.
That's true. She's really good. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, so with that, I think that's you seem to be in good hands, and so definitely keep me updated as to how your applications go, and and then I would love. I mean, you should be able to get into one of these schools. Is what I would say, given your background, and given how you've been setting your career up. It just your story makes a lot of sense.
That's you have no idea how good it is to hear that.
I mean, the fact you've
uh,
made all the right moves, starting with Credit Suisse to what you're doing right now, to what you want to do going forward, and the fact that you have the family business backing with you. So,
mhm.
so it seems very well planned, and it's the vision's clear, and it's an interesting place to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. And absolutely, I'll keep you guys up to date on my every move, on every decision that I got. There's really nothing else that I like to talk about more than this. So I will absolutely keep you guys posted. And I still have to write my debrief in GMAT Club, of
Yes.
course, and my e-GMAT review. I'll
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
And yeah, and I just want you guys from e-GMAT to know that you guys have an amazing product. It's really awesome. You guys are impacting professional lives across the globe, and I am proof of this.
I can tell you this that I mean, I talk to people from South America in general and people from Europe. It's just incredible to hear the feedback because somehow I think you guys are slightly older when you come to when you think about your MBA, and that gives that sense of maturity, and you become really diligent students. I'm glad to have folks from these places, because you do the course really well, and that's we see a lot of those big score success stories over there. So thank you for being a student, is what I would say.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, and good luck for the future, and keep me posted. And I hopefully sometime in the future we get to meet in person, as I was at these business schools.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would really enjoy that.
All right. Well, I look forward to reading your debrief as well as your reviews on GMAT Club.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. I was actually waiting for our talk so that I could um, write it after afterwards.
Okay.
I'll actually planning to on doing it tonight. I'll email it to you.
Perfect. Sounds great. I think you have an incredible story as to how you went about doing it. I mean, just focus on how you took notes, focus on how you decided what to write down, how you revised those notes. I mean, all of those good habits that you put in place, how you plan. I mean, even when I look at your preparation, the way you did the courses, and then you said, last month I'm going to focus on doing the official guide and just a portion of Scholaranium, and the fact that, okay, what if, you need more practice questions post that. I think those are real gems that would help a lot of people. The fact that you didn't worry about timing early on, and then you fix timing within a week, again, another amazing thing. We tell a lot of people, very few people follow that. So writing about these things is gonna is right about these things, it's gonna help more and more people succeed. And it just then becomes a self-sustaining ecosystem by itself. As more people succeed, they write about it, and then it starts to become a best practice.
Absolutely. That's the best kind of motivation. I have this WhatsApp group that I don't know, maybe 200 members. I'm not sure,
Mm.
and almost everybody is from India. So it's really cool to have this intercultural exchange. And the guys on this group are absolutely nonstop. They're solving questions every day, all of the time, and um, sharing insights. And that's just the best kind of motivation you can get.
That's true. That is really, really true. So I think one of the other things would be, it's you write your success story, you can share that on that group, and they can really see how you went about doing it. Some people just solve
Exactly.
questions. I mean, for you, you kind of focus. So the thing which is that you focus on the learning phase really intensely, and then you went on to solving questions. There are people who don't do learning; they just think solving questions is their way out, and you don't really see that on a WhatsApp group, because the good thing about WhatsApp is instant interaction, but the bad thing is aggregate data is very difficult to calculate.
True.
So,
True.
so, so I think that's where your debrief is going to be a big motivation for them as to how you went about doing it. And
You're completely right. You're
so, so,
completely
so,
right.
so I think you owe it to those 200 folks as well.
Cool. Yep. Absolutely. You're completely right. 100% agree.
All right, Leon. Good luck, and I look forward to reading your debrief sometime tonight or tomorrow.
Awesome. Yeah. Look forward to maybe, who knows, meeting you guys from e-GMAT in person.
Absolutely, yes. All right.
Awesome.
Bye bye.